It's Sunday night service. It's Sunday night. That means it's Sunday night service. And look who's here. I'm Dani.
And I'm Dr. Motley.
And we are talking mold 101 tonight.
Right. Yes.
I mean, this is a huge topic. I mean, a huge topic. I think we miss it a lot.
We do.
As healthcare providers. Those of you who are just now logging on and all, hit your heart buttons, hit your like buttons, tell us where you are, where you're watching from, and share. Click start a watch party. It just popped up. Dani Williamson is live right now. So you need to go on, log on, hit your heart button, share, all those things, okay? Because we're talking some serious stuff tonight,
yes.
All right?
Yes, yes.
Because let me tell you, I mean, foggy headedness. Fatigue, brain fog, nausea, vomiting, weight gain, migraine headaches, insomnia, anxiety, panic, right? Those symptoms can be symptoms of mold toxicity. Just a few symptoms of it. I mean, there's all kinds of symptoms, but you know, if you're experiencing those symptoms, it could be mold.
Could be mold.
And I think, I mean, how many times when you first started practicing, Dr. Motley, when our patients would come in with these symptoms, because these are symptoms that my patients come in every day with. I have 2 brand new patients tomorrow. Both of them have these same symptoms, right?
Heavens.
So when you first started this 15 years ago,
yes,
did you think to ask about mold?
Never.
Me either. Me either.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I always tell people, like, you see my face, like, if it came down to somebody coming into my first days of practice, my first thought was like, of course it's neurology because the nerves are involved, but I never would thought of going into the mold realm. Never, ever even crossed my mind.
No. And you know, it's just like breast implant illness. Never crossed my mind. Breast implant illness. We can also have mold toxicity from breast implants, right? So these are things that, and these are things that I'm so thrilled as functional medicine providers. You know, we tend to keep digging, you know, but I think oftentimes your regular providers, they don't. This isn't even on their radar.
No.
The regular provider, just a straight up provider. Now some it is, but you know, so it could be, mold could be the root cause of many of your symptoms. Maybe not. But those of us who live in Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, I'm telling you right now, we live in a mold infested area.
It is mold infested. Do you ever have like the patients that come in and you guys out there, whenever they say plane, they've been visiting somewhere else and they like land in Nashville, they go literally when they get off the plane, they have these symptoms come back.
Oh yeah.
We live in, like, what do they say, the bowl? Is that right, guys?
Yeah,
we live
the bowl.
In the dust bowl with all the dust and the mold.
Supposedly the Indians left here because it was so toxic, right? It was like there were so many mosquitoes and it was so toxic and all the things. But there is a book called Is It Mold? And there's 3 big ones out there we'll talk about, but this one I fell in love with. It's little, it's easy to write. This gal, Karen Wright, she has a master's in science. She lived in New York City during the 9/11 attacks. She was downtown there, okay? While she was master's degree, she actually learned about mold sensitivity because she was so sick. She learned about mold sensitivity from, guess what? She was taking a neuroendocrinology course, which was taught by Dr. David Hasse from here in Nashville. Yes. And she wrote this book after she realized she was mold sick, mold toxic. She says cutting out gluten, dairy, corn, soy, all those things is much easier than cutting out mold exposure.
Oh, man.
Right? Every time a person with mold sensitivity syndrome enters a building or an area where even the slightest amount of mold is, they can become sick.
Yes.
And there's no labels on the building, right, that say mold building. Moldy building, like we have gluten-free or we have dairy-free. There's no label that says mold. Danger, mold.
And
right?
The way they build buildings now, that you don't even know how long the building has been exposed. If
That's
they
right.
have the walls off, and has it been out in the rain? Is it a wood structure? And you
cellulose. So basically, we live in paper houses because we have cardboard. Not cardboard, plywood, cellulose. Mold lives in cellulose, and we're going to talk about all that. Paper. Back before the 70s, the 60s, maybe 60s, 70s, we had I'm sorry, plaster, not sheetrock, which is paper, basically, cellulose, which is where mold grows.
Yeah. If you put it on there, it grows and grows and grows on that material. What does it feed off of? So there's termites live off of it too. So.
You're exactly right. So mold sensitivity, she says, is often overlooked by providers and the patient. Actually, many times the patient doesn't even realize that that's what's going on. They can be random and they can be difficult to tie together because we look for links and we look for connections usually, because mold may not be on the radar. And tonight, that is our goal, is to get mold on the radar, right? Look for patterns in your illness. It's key. Do you feel better after leaving your home or leaving your job?
Yes.
Right? When you go on vacation, now everybody feels better at the beach, right? But if you don't go to the beach, if you leave your home for an extended amount of time, or like me traveling up and down to Kentucky all the time now lately, do you feel better after leaving? Do you get sick when you come back home? Do you have those symptoms, the joint pains, maybe the respiratory stuff going on, the cough, the asthma-like symptoms? That is a huge red flag for you.
Red flag, yes.
And people many times don't think about that. Yeah, I feel better when I leave.
Yes, and like when you talked about the sensitivity about people who could feel something when they go right into a house, they feel like the effect of mold. We were talking about different types of labs that test for mold. Not going to push forward, like we're going to talk about that later. But they say that when your body is accustomed to encountering the mold, you've actually built up a lot of the antibodies to help fight the mold.
Yes.
So any small indication that you have mold in your body, you smell just a few mold spores in your lungs, and you're very sensitive to it because genetically you may be able to fight it off. But if you can't, then your body will release a lot of antibodies. It'll call the immune system, and you will feel it. And people will think, you'll have the patients that come in and go, my friends think I'm crazy.
Yes.
Come in.
Yes.
I know there's mold here. I can smell it. And
Yeah.
they're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no. Genetically, you can actually are very sensitive to mold.
And there's about 25% of the population, 25 to 30% who have that HLA, DA, whatever.
Yes.
And that actually is like tens of millions of people, but tens of millions of people. It's 25 to 30% of the population.
It is.
Do you know that mold, it's actually not the s'mores, the s'mores.
The s'mores.
The spores you're smelling. S'mores you're spelling.
Chocolate and marshmallow.
It's the gas. Because mold itself is not the problem. It's the gas that it puts off. It's the gas that you're smelling. Mold is a fungus, okay? So basically, she talks about in this book, if you ever left your laundry in the washer a day longer than it should be, right?
What does it smell like?
That is mold. That is the gas, right? That is the gas that mold releases. That is exactly what's in there. And that's something.
It is something. I always compare
it's a gas.
It's a gas, and like, do they tell you what? Like, I know there's different types of gases, guys, but I mean, there's so much study about gases and different types of toxins. I have kids at the office where I said, can you send me how many toxins or gases can be present in your neurology that causes the brain fog and the symptoms? Like almost 80 different ones.
Isn't that unbelievable?
I was like, so many. Like, and in Tennessee, I can't imagine us walking in the woods or getting into here and how many gas are in our house. Anyway, I'm going on.
Well, so mold sensitivity syndrome is not an allergy, right?
Yeah.
It is an immune response, right? And it's a serious illness caused by an immune response to organic decaying matter.
Oh, wow.
And that's the gases that are coming off. Sick building syndrome, that term was coined in the 1970s. And what that means is any building that has mold caused by plasticizers, formaldehyde, and microbial volatile organic compounds, which are MVOCs. Right? Research shows that MVOCs are higher in buildings and homes with reported dampness and mold. Do you know that the World Health Organization estimates that 30% of all buildings worldwide are sick building syndrome buildings?
How many?
30%. 30%.
Guys, wow. I did not know that.
Now I'm telling you,
guys.
so we need 2 main ingredients to grow mold in a home: water and cellulose. Okay. Moldy food is coming from mold grows on cellulose, wood products, ceiling joist, right? Subflooring, right? Natural materials such as wicker, upholstery, fabric, unfinished wood surfaces of furniture, and the bottoms of recliners and box springs.
Good heavens.
This is where mold is growing. I've got even more stuff.
Good
and you know, you got the obvious, right? The leaky pipes, the leaky joists, rainwater, condensation on the pipes, things like that. Those are your obvious things. Did you know that mold reproduces itself every 30 minutes? Did you know that?
Minutes, like
mold reproduces itself. It replicates every 30 minutes. So under the correct conditions, how fast, this is going to become a very significant issue, right? For people, for sure, who have weakened immune systems, right? My autoimmune patients, me, I have lupus, right? When you think about it, think how fast actually mold grows on bread, which I don't have any bread in this house, but when I had bread here, right?
Yes.
And fruits and cheeses, right?
Yeah.
Every 30 minutes,
fast?
it's doubling itself, right? So this is really interesting. All right, guys, you guys are logging on. We got a ton of people watching tonight. Post your comments up here, and we'll talk about this when we finish this.
With the MVOC, real quick, we were talking about Sabine. Hey, Sabine. She said there's another good book about the house. It's called Is Your House Making You Sick?
Okay.
By Andrea Fabry.
Okay.
So I was like, check it out. Thanks, Sabine.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you know that mold toxicity traces back to, at the least, the Old Testament times, Leviticus. Now I'm going to blow your mind tonight on Leviticus, where it's referred to as the plague. So you guys who believe in the Bible, you go turn to Leviticus 14, 33 through 53. That book, that chapter has specific instructions on finding, removing, and remediation of mold. Specific. I got all kinds of stuff written down here, dude.
So good.
So Leviticus 14, 13 through 39, I feel like I'm preaching over here, right? Specific instructions for detecting mold and how long to vacate the home. All right.
Oh my goodness. 39
through 42 describes the instructions for plague removal after a 7-day quarantine. 7-day quarantine, it tells you, right? You completely remove the stones, which is what they built houses with back then. They didn't have paper walls like we do, right?
Yeah.
Remove the stones and replace with new ones. Okay, so listen, they were building with stone. They weren't building with paper like we are. And they still
had mold.
Were talking about mold in the Old Testament times, right?
Gosh. Oh my goodness.
Also, they also talk about taking the old stones to a specific area outside of town as to preserve the sanitary conditions of the area, because they knew what a plague this was. Now, listen, there's something about a pigeon and blood and all that in here too, but I don't understand all that. But anyway, Leviticus 14, 43 through 47 tells us to destroy the home if, in fact, the mold returns after every precaution listed above was taken. The homeowner would also have to be cleaned thoroughly and by the priest.
A quarantine for the individual.
48 through 53, Leviticus 14 tells us, it talks about the combination of ingredients to be used to remediate a home infected with mold. Wow. And listen to what they use in the Bible. Cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet, and 2 birds. I don't know about the birds are used specifically in the Bible, right? Cedar oil is a natural product, and it's used for mold and mildew elimination. It naturally kills fungus, spores and microbes. It works well on stones, clearly, because that's what they use. Hyssop, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but hyssop is thought to be, what is that?
Oregano, I mean, that's Oreganum syriancum,
which is a member of the mint family,
and it's
antibacterial, antifungal, and antispasmodic. Together, cedar oil and hyssop were probably used as a blend, right?
Yes.
Scarlet refers to the red dyed wool and considered to have antimicrobial properties. Not sure where that comes in, but thieves oil, and we'll talk about this when we talk about ways to do it. Thieves oil has been used historically. Thieves comes from Young Living, and thieves has antifungal properties, and you can clean with thieves. You can also diffuse with thieves. Thieves works beautifully for mold. I use it to clean in here. I just wrote an article for your Williamson on toxic homes and how to clean them up and all, and I talked about thieves in that a lot. Did you know, let's see here. Okay, so okay. So did you know that, what is that? Benamil is an active ingredient in antifungal paint. All right. And antifungal products that both DuPont and Lucite paint have in their paints. Benamil can create mutated fungus from the surviving fungus that's there. Okay. Painting with antifungal paint can make the mold even worse.
Ooh.
She recommends painting with acrylic paint. Okay? Don't use
a big deal. Like, guys, because people will always try to put like kills and stuff like that.
That's right. Kills does not kill mold, right? Bleach does not kill mold.
That's a really good point.
But we're going to talk about that later.
Real quick, I'm saying like Karina. Hey, Karina, she said Leviticus 14:39-42 also has some.
Right. And well, this 39-42. Yeah.
And then Kimberly says Summit Environmental, Keble, Kentucky Test Business, and Residential for Mold.
Yeah, that's in up in Western Kentucky.
You guys are so educated.
Yes, they are.
Good habits.
Well, Kimberly has been my friend since high school, and Kimberly's helping with my mom, and Kimberly has been out of her house now for almost 3 years. Yeah, she can't go in. She has black mold in her home, and all of her things have black mold on it, and she left the house.
So.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
She's living outside of the house right now. Okay. So where are we going to look for mold in our house? What are the obvious places, right, for mold? HVAC units. Look, we have a Great Dane.
She likes me.
Hey, hi, Athena. Look here, guys. Look here. There's Athena. She's in the house tonight. Oh my goodness. She gave Harlan a bloody nose last night. Okay. HVAC units, right? The filters from the HVAC, right? Those are like cellulose and they grab onto mold, right? And plus you have increased heat from all the electrical devices and that increases dampness, right? Windows often left shut in office buildings and mold is around the sill. We have to cross ventilate. Cross ventilation is one of the biggest things. When I was writing about toxic homes last night, I was writing about cross ventilation. Vicki Warren, who is our electromagnetic field, right? She talks all about, she and Janetta Hitt, you have to cross ventilate. Doesn't do any good to open this one window that's right over here open. You have to have the window across from it open. You need to cross ventilate every single day in the house, right? Dropped ceilings. That's a huge place for mold to harbor. Okay, so drop ceilings are cellulose, right? They're like paper products there, those drop ceilings, all those tiles are. And then you're not going to know that there's mold up above there. So that's a place you need to look. You need to check out. Gutters, of course, standing water. French drains with standing water. I don't even know what a French drain is, but anyway.
They're drains that have croissants and baguettes.
Oh, they do? Okay, so there you go. So then you've got all that moist stuff there anyway, right?
Keep it going.
Paper insulation and drywall material, as well as libraries with their moldy paper books. Books are one thing that you will not save if you end up in a mold infested house. They got to be burned and done. You just got to get rid of your books.
That's how, like, whenever you go into a library or you go into a place where they have a lot of storage, like cardboard boxes. Why does it smell so bad? There's a lot of mold.
You bet.
Have you ever seen mold grow in a cardboard box?
Yes, I have. I'm sorry. You know, it's like a jungle in here tonight. Gosh. There's a Great Dane on the couch. Can you all see this over there? Look at that Great Dane sitting over there. Harlan's barking at the door. We are extremely, extremely professional over here. Okay. Now, back to this. Wall-to-wall carpeting. It needs to be removed, and it needs to be removed immediately in your house. Number one, it's just gross. Right? I mean, it just is. I have removed, well, I'm sorry.
Tell me how you really feel.
It's disgusting.
Gross.
Now, this entire house had wall-to-wall carpeting in it. I bought it. I live in a tiny little 1983 house, and it had the same carpet in it, I'm sure, since 1983. It took me 4 years, but I got everything out of here and just put hardwood in. Wall-to-wall carpeting harbors mold.
Really?
Harbors mold. Carpet in a bathroom, which is what I just had ripped out of my mom's house, 2 different bathrooms. She had a huge leak. Carpet in a bathroom is absolutely asinine. My mom did it. I don't have any idea why. Think about it. You get out of the shower, you step on the carpet, you step on the pad. It never dries. It never dries. When they ripped my mom's carpet up, you talk about mold all underneath there. It is a breeding ground for mold.
Yes,
carpet is.
Yes.
Plus everything else that gets in carpet. You can't clean carpet. Cleaning carpet is just bullshit. You can't clean carpet. I'm sorry, you can't. I know. I have a hard time with carpet.
All the carpet cleaning companies are going to ask her to endorse them now.
Don't you know they are? That's exactly right. Okay, front load washers. These are massive. Can you go shut the front door? Because I don't know what's happening outside my house, but it's bad. Front load washers, right? Accumulates in those doors, and it is a breeding ground for mold and for those gases, right? Door gaskets and seals need to be checked, and they need to be changed, right? Leave the door open after you wash your clothes, right? And then run a cycle with hot water and vinegar in it as well, ever so often. The laundry room, think about the laundry room. It is a mold. Where does yeast grow? Where does mold grow? Where does fungus grow? Dark, damp places. Think of the vagina. I knew I had to bring it up. I could bring it.
Oh my word. Good heaven.
Could even come up with that on talking about mold toxicity.
I knew it was going to happen.
Mold is basically, it's a fungus, right? So Candida is a fungus. There we go. It's all connected over here. Dark, moist places, armpits, under the breast, vaginas, things like that. And think about mold in your house. The same thing. The laundry room is damp, moldy, moist. I hate that word. Moist, right? And this is a breeding ground. And the vents in there. Think about the vents behind the dryer. And all that.
And then we do it like, and I always think that when we talk about like a moldy shower curtain, I always tell people that patients that have a recurring UTI, and you'll find indications that they have a mold infection. And I go, well, in Chinese medicine, they call certain conditions within the body, they call it damp. They call it really damp, warm, and moist. And so what they say is like, what's the perfect breeding ground for like fungus and mold and yeast?
Yes.
And I always compare it to a shower curtain. The shower curtain doesn't get fully dried. Think about your bladder wall, your kidneys, your liver. If they're damp, moist, and you have an infection of mold in that area, it'll grow. Like if you don't have a heightened amount of immune system. So whenever you have like we talk about a washing machine, compare that to your body. If you have mold, and don't be scared. It's just like if you have mold in the body, you feed it sugar, it's damp, it's moist, you keep that whole area kind of inflamed, they'll grow. And then it's like comparison to your house.
It's exactly right. Drip pans under the refrigerator, right? They're moldy. Yeah. Dishwashers are notorious for mold, right? That dark stuff that's around on those gaskets and all that, that's mold, for crying out loud.
It's mold.
Right? Dishwasher doors and floors, the bottom of it with water need to be left open to dry, right? Because sometimes those things don't dry. The older they get, your dishwasher stays moist. Fireplaces. I didn't know about this. I learned about this. Fireplaces can seep water in if not properly maintained every year. So you got to check the flashing, the bricks, and the chimney caps yearly. I've been here 6 years. I've never checked a chimney cap.
I wouldn't
even know what that means. Basements are breeding grounds. I don't have a basement here, but I've had three basements in the past as an adult, and they all leaked, and they were breeding grounds. And guess what? The bottom step going down to the basement, the bottom step, which is probably wood, is probably one of the most moldy places you got. Underneath the step. Go look at it. Go check it and see. Isn't that something?
Do it.
Drywall, of course, we know that. And so what they've just done, ServPro in Western Kentucky, what they've just done at my mom's, because there was mold all up in the walls, you have to 100% cut out the drywall, 100% gone, no matter how far. Now, mom's went up to probably this high. She still has no idea, so don't tell her if you see her that this is all happening in her house, but it's probably about up to here on me, maybe a little bit more. They had to 100% cut it out. There's no cleaning the drywall because what? It's paper. We're living in paper houses. And where does mold grow? Paper, cellulose. Okay. Wallpaper. The bottom bathroom was wallpapered. So wallpaper behind, especially if you have a bathroom that has wallpaper in it, who the heck would do that? My mom did. And there's wallpaper in there and you're taking a shower. What?
Yes.
Well, there's mold all behind the wallpaper, most likely.
Yes, like even in like my mom's Korean and Asian culture, and so like any in the farmhouses, when you go back to where my relatives live, many of their houses are built just basically, they always say stone and mud and brick or wood. So they make sure that like certain parts of the house like are made of certain material where nothing can grow on them, like mold, and they have to keep it at a certain temperature. So if you go to like an old farmhouse, it's so basic and simple, but it to the farmer, because my family are pepper farmers and rice farmers and such. And
Can't you see him in the fields?
You could. I look at me.
With your hat on.
Yes.
Over.
You watch. One day I'm going to be that guy. So that's exactly like you say, built out of paper, but they won't build them out of paper. They literally, everything, when I go back to where my grandparents lived, it's just all stone, like a bit of wood, but all like mud. And they go, why? It's like, yeah, you can have mold and mud, but they say if you do it strategically, right temperature,
yes,
right
coolant,
temperature
like
is key. When you just said cross ventilation, it is amazing how they make the currents flow through the house, through the mountains. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why do you set it up this way? Why? Yes. And it was like, it makes everything. They always say like makes the chi flow.
The chi flow. Get your chi flowing.
Get your chi flowing. Good going.
Okay, your bathroom, another place. Well, that's common sense, right? The bathroom is a breeding ground for mold. You have got to have unbelievable ventilation in there. I don't have a window in either one of my bathrooms, but if you do, you need to open it. Do you know that I was listening to something on YouTube today, and she said, at a bare minimum, you keep your vent fan on 30 minutes after you vacate the bathroom from a shower. Minimum 30 minutes.
That makes sense.
But I turn it off. I can't stand the sound of a vent. Like even cooking, I can't stand the sound of a fan. It drives me nuts. But I don't know. There's something up with me, like sensory wise on that. But bathroom wise, I don't turn my vent on enough. But I'm a single mom, so boom, I can get in and get a shower done literally within less than 3 minutes. Done. But teenagers, they don't turn the vents on, right? And everything's molded up. Just this past summer, I had everything cut out of the bathroom. It took it down to the studs and redid it. But keep it down.
Now you know what Dani is. Don't get her anything for white noise. Don't get her a fan.
Don't do that. I don't like things like that. I just like the natural stuff going on. So anyway, mold is a breeding ground in the bathroom. No carpet in the bathroom. If you've got carpet in the bathroom, rip it up now and get a fan that turns on automatically, she said, with the light. You can't turn it off. Oh, my mom and her assisted living, that's how it is, drives me nuts. It helps with the mold. Because the second you turn the light on, the fan comes on. So it takes away, especially if you have teenagers in the house, their inability to turn a fan on, which I have banged on my kid's door a million times in the bathroom saying, turn the fan on, turn the fan on. Oh, Harlan thinks somebody's at the door.
But you said
everybody's barking.
Amber has personal experience with mold. She just said track symptoms with weather.
Yes.
It's like related to water damage, home or office or school. So watch when your weather, like when storm systems come in and such.
I didn't mean to. I did it. I knocked on the table. They think somebody's at the front door. Yep. I have a bunch of guard dogs in here. Okay. So under the sinks, you want to check the sinks, right? You want to check where the back meets the base, and plumbing on the access holes. The kitchen sink, the master bathroom sink, the guest bathroom sink, the half bath sink, that's where you want to check, right? You want to check deep inside the air conditioner vent. You got to take the cover off and check in there. Ceiling joist and subflooring, right? The support for the first floor in the basement or the crawl space. And then there again, underside, the bottom of the wood step in the basement. So you got to check that. Everybody go look under their bottom step in the basement. Okay? Anything that's wood, upholstered furniture, look on the legs of your furniture and see if it looks moldy. Right?
Yes, because I think that the clear indications would be like if you went down to your basement, everybody says I have a musty smell.
That's gas.
Musty smell.
That's gas. That's the mold gas.
Have you ever, and I'm going to ask you guys out there, have you ever been, I hate to say this, around somebody and you get there and it's not that they smell it. You're not saying it, but they have a musty smell.
That's gas.
That's the gas from yeast and from fungus. Like there's many times when people come in and they'll have like on their blood test, they'll come in, they'll have like a high test and you can, not being hard, but you can sense that there's a musty smell from them. And it's like, yeah. Or they'll say, I taste or smell in my nose or an itch in
your nose.
Oh, no. Patients come in and they'll say, like when I do exercise or something, I get this weird smell in my nose and I go, yeast.
Wow.
That stuff, like when you start to push that stuff out of the tissue, it starts releasing.
Well, it's actually the gas that's released. Isn't that something? It's fascinating. Yes. All right, you always got to check the attic, right? Check the attic. Look for discoloration up there. All of those things, the attic, the basement, all the things. So what are we going to do about testing? What do you do? Okay, so talk about how you do. Then we're going to talk about ERMI testing and all those kinds of testing.
I think like we're talking about like different types of testing for materials.
Yes.
And we're talking about bodies, like how you test yourself. We're going to go into the material testing. I think that I use Genova Labs, GENOVA, and Great Plains, and they test for the toxins, or they call them the organic acids that are given off by the mold. So you can get an organic acids test and you can send off some, you can give a sample, like you can go onto the website, Great Plains Testing Lab and Genova.
Yes.
And when you send it off, what they do is they identify the mold toxins within your blood and tell you how much organic acids, because they're acids given off by the mold, and they'll tell you the amounts. So we know the higher the amounts, the greater the exposure. Now, I am not smart enough to know which mold gives off which toxin. I don't know that. I go by their chart. So when you guys get the chart, you go back and you research and you go, like, was this something we have in the house? Is it a mold that can grow on the cellulose?
Yes.
Or is this a mold that literally is from like a yeast fungal source that you may have contacted or contracted with internally? So it's one of those, like, so those are two things I do.
But here's the thing. You can do all that testing you want, but if you don't remediate the house and you don't check the house, you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So one thing that I failed to mention, and Teresa just mentioned it on here, dorm rooms. Dorm rooms are notorious. Dorms
I got a great story
for mold. So Shelby, who does my newsletter that you guys get, and if you're not on our email list, you need to go to DaniWilliamson.com and sign up for our newsletter. But Shelby had a toxic dorm at University of Tennessee, and they were all sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have about dorms?
No,
so dorms are a big deal. And if your daughter or your son tells you or starts getting sick, then you need to be doing some testing in there.
Yes, I would.
And honestly, you can't do anything about it because universities are also notorious for not doing anything about it.
What we talked about Lyme disease a few weeks ago, and I had a patient that she comes in. She lived here in Nashville, but she for her vocation she lives up in Maryland. So when she came back in, we've been cross-checking with blood tests and saliva tests and what we've been testing at the office with. With what we can find, I found Lyme infection, guys. But at the end of the Lyme infection, even with the blood test and saliva test, found mold toxicity.
Oh, no.
Get this. So everybody's told her it was Lyme, and it was. But at the end of it, I said, there must have been a heavy mold infection somewhere. You need to go get a Great Plains test and find out. She said she went to one school I won't name in Middle Tennessee, and she said they had a huge mold issue in their dorm.
Oh, wow.
And she was there for the second year. She says, I literally could not go into my dorm room because every time I breathed in, it literally, I felt like somebody was like, she was swallowing just like a big cloud. And she's like, I couldn't breathe. And I was like, see how like one infection can weaken your immune system
Yes.
And then later you get bit by a tick or mosquito and get some other infection that compounds on it. Mold's no joke because it's so small, and when it gets into your lungs, it multiplies within a few hours.
Yes.
And so it can replicate and gives off the toxins, and it weakens your immune system. And so and when we started cleaning it up, wasn't me. It was like we started doing some stuff where we like found stuff that was antifungal after the Lyme stuff. And she's like, yeah, my headaches are going away. My migraines are going away. Like I literally get up without having the feeling like, am I going to die today? And it was from an old dorm.
And that's something.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. And public housing. Amber says also public
walls.
Housing as well. So if you live in public housing, then you're really in trouble.
Amber
right?
just said public housing.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's what she just said. I saw that on there. And then also Kendra says that Great Plains is doing a toxin conference in Nashville in November. It includes a full day on the OAT test interpretation.
Kendra, can we all be friends?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So testing. So ERMI testing, ERMI, which stands for Environmental Relative Moldness Index. All right. Basically, what you do, there is a website called survivingmold.com, and there are other websites. This is an excellent website. Actually, where you basically use your Swifter and you swift up the mold in your home and you send it in to them.
Surviving Mold.
That's right. Survivingmold.com is an excellent website. And this ERMI test all the different kinds of molds. I think it's like 36, I think, and I'm not sure. Amber would probably know better than me on that one. Different molds in your house. That's the ERMI test. That's a big deal test right there, right? You can also self-test. You can take like a 3-inch piece of tape, just clear tape that's 3/4 inches wide, 3 inches long, and you can tape that to every area that you think you may have mold in your house, and then you send it off.
Oh,
that's self stuff done right there, right?
Yes,
then you have genetic testing, your HLA-DR blood test. That's where approximately 25 to 30% of the population has a genetic variant to that. Isn't that something?
Oh, I love.
Then there's something called the VCS test. Do you know that? Which is visual contrast sensitivity testing. And that's usually free with a donation to the Surviving Mold website as well. It's not a diagnostic test, but it's a visual acuity test, right?
Related to like when you get neurological issues.
Neurological symptoms. That's right.
Oh, wow. Because mold will literally get into the nerves, irritate your nerves, create a dysfunction between the electrical current, the signal going to your brain.
Yes. It
really can. Isn't that amazing?
There is a website called Mold Control on a Budget. And I looked all through this website today, and it was an unbelievable website, moldcontrolonabudget.com. Excellent website. Talks about what to do. It's an excellent one. Dr. Shoemaker, who is one of the leaders in mold, right? Yeah. He wrote a great book, which is, what is it called? Surviving Mold. Dr. Shoemaker has a website, which is Surviving Mold. That's his website, and it's got all kinds of testing on there. So, Mold Control on a Budget, survivingmold.com. Those are big ones right there, huge ones. Mycometrics.com, mycometrics.com. They have the ERMI testing.
And that's what Amber said. I think 36 different molds for the
Yes, I think it's 36 molds as well, Amber. That's what I was thinking.
Wow.
So mycometrics.com has that on there. Now, Amber had told me, Amber has firsthand experience with mold, and she's on here tonight, actually. And so firsthand experience, moved out of her house, is in another house in Florida while the house here is being remediated here at some point. So Amber, you can share as much as you want on here about that, but I won't share your story. But Amber used somebody at it looks like AUNTIEG,
like antigen, like instead of antigen.
Yeah, antigen. Antigen.com.
English.
Okay. Antigen. And she used that company. They're like nationwide, but apparently they have a Nashville branch. She used them. And actually this is to come in. Now, so you need So here's the thing. Patty Rose, who's here in Nashville, Patty Rose is a nurse practitioner. She has an actual website called Healing Mold Sickness, healingmoldsickness.com. Her husband was very sick, probably 7 or 8 years ago. She focuses just on mold right now.
Oh, wow. Yes.
She's a nurse practitioner. She spoke at our Hashimoto support group meeting a couple years ago. She says, do not use the same people to test and remediate, because so if you have somebody testing your house for mold and you use them to remediate, right, to clean up the mold in your house, well, they have a vested interest, right?
To like get rid of the mold. And so isn't that something? Yeah, it is.
So now that's her advice. And that's actually the advice from this book right here as well. Don't use the same person or the same company to test and to remediate. But I'm going to tell you right now, we don't have a ton of people in this town in Middle Tennessee to test.
We don't.
And if you look on the group that I started probably 5 or 6 years ago called Inside Out Healing from Within, which is on Facebook, if you type in mold, I was so shocked at how many people have asked about mold remediation and mold testing. There's a wealth of knowledge on there. I learned today. And this is all from people pretty much in Middle Tennessee who are sharing about this.
Sure. Like we talked about Sabine when she was talking about remediating the house. And I remember she was talking, did she tell you about how that there's individuals now, or their testing procedures can use like silver spray?
Yes. Oh, well,
on the wood and the house and such, like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, colloidal silver. It's the best there is. I'm telling you.
This is great.
Love it.
Scout
and Cellar right there. There's our best wine right there. Okay. So in Nashville, who are we going to use? Like, I don't test for mold. I don't do it because I stay in my lane. I heal guts and adrenals and thyroids and hormones, and that's what I do.
I just love the way you said that. I heal guts and
I do. That's what I do.
Right.
But I don't do mold and I don't do Lyme disease. So I send you to Dr. Potter, who is the best. I think he's one of the best here.
There's a lot of
mold. He loves mold. I don't know if
he's one street over.
Yeah, he's right over by you.
Really big on mold.
He's really big on mold. Patty Rose is big on mold. Dr. David Hossey is big on mold. So we have 3 big providers here who can treat you for mold. I can't. I don't do it. I mean, I just don't. I mean, it's one of those things that I think you really need to do. Like Patty has dedicated her life now to only doing mold.
Yes.
And hers is survivingmold.com. So you can look her website up and you can contact her if you think you have some mold issues. Some of the best books: Mold Warrior, Surviving Mold, and Is It Mold? I love this book because it was just, I mean, this is a gal here who has had mold toxicity and she's healed herself from it. And it's a wealth of knowledge right here. But you know, what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do? How are we going to remediate, right? So if you have a leak, if you have a fast leak, if you have a leak, mold generally will not form if you take care of it and you dry it out within 24 to 48 hours. Okay. So just know that, right?
24 to 48 hours.
That's right. But don't touch anything with your bare hands that you think might have mold on it.
Okay.
Books are one of the big ones there. Most likely they're going to have to be destroyed, right? Curtains will be dry cleaned. Furniture will be thrown away to the dump. Okay.
Oh man.
You can't clean it. It's not going to work, right?
Wow.
If there's a smell after 24 or 48 hours of drying in anything, you need to destroy it. It's as simple as that. So yeah, you may lose everything you own. You may lose your pictures. You may lose your books. You may lose your clothing. But I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to mess with mold. And what year did we have? Was it 2010? We had the flood.
I thought
those. I don't remember. When was it?
It was 2010. Remember that? Like when they had like all the water that was rising up.
Oh, honey, it was terrible. It was awful.
I remember that day. Yeah.
Yeah. It was horrible.
Day, actually, yes. Wow.
Get a HEPA, HEPA vacuum, right? Dyson, what they say, I did a little research today on HEPA vacuum cleaners. Dyson is pretty much a HEPA, but they are bagless. So this is interesting. I learned this when I was researching this. And mold spores can spread when you're emptying that bucket, right?
Huh.
So a bag, you would pick it up,
Yes.
put it in the trash, and take it out. They recommend when you're using a Dyson, you empty it outside, not inside. Isn't that something?
No, I think it's really.
But you need a bag. Okay. And guess what else I learned today?
What?
If you have a housekeeper, if you're lucky enough to have a housekeeper who cleans your house
Mm-hmm.
or somebody cleans your office,
Mm-hmm.
you don't let them use their vacuum cleaner to clean your house because they're cleaning multiple people's houses.
Oh, wow.
Who have mold.
You get your vacuum cleaner to clean
You
your
buy
house.
your vacuum cleaner. This was like a woohoo aha moment for me. And especially in my office because I have a cleaner, a housekeeper there who cleans the office. I need to buy my own HEPA, HEPA vacuum for my office. And when she comes, she doesn't bring her vacuum in because it's got mold from other people and she's spreading that mold throughout my house or my office.
You know, when you've had a vacuum cleaner that's, I'm saying a little bit older, and if you hadn't cleaned the filter out too well, but when you start using it, you smell that smell that comes out of the vacuum cleaner when you start, that's the mold, right? Yeah.
You bet. Isn't that something?
My goodness, guys.
It's the gas from the mold because the mold doesn't have a smell. The gas has the smell. I'm telling you, I'm learning all kinds of things. So what are we going to do about supplement? What are we going to do to help your body heal from the mold? We know what you're going to do. You're just going to burn your house down. No, you're not.
Don't do
that. No,
that.
your home association does not approve of that. So they don't care for that if you burn your home down. They don't want you doing that. You're going to have your home remediated properly, right? Bleach does not kill mold, right? You're going to have to cut it out and you're going to have to go from there. Colloidal silver was the number one, right? With mixed, interestingly enough, with biocidin, which biocidin is one of my all-time favorite. This stuff kills everything. Mold, yeast, parasites, Lyme disease. I mean, it works beautifully. Mix them together, right? This is for you to take, ingest, okay? If you have nasal symptoms, chronic sinus infections, all of that, you drop biocidin in your colloidal silver spray and you spray it in your nose.
I love it. Yeah,
right?
You can do that totally.
And it physically will kill mold.
Yes, it disrupts basically the ability for the mold to, in a sense, they're anaerobic and aerobic, so it basically disrupts their ability to like breathe, if you can say. So like when you put both of them in there.
That's right. As you start killing the mold or killing Lyme, when we talk about that or anything, things get angry. You get Herxheimer reactions, right? Herxheimer meaning as all this starts to die off, you get even sicker than you were before you started.
Yes. Your liver can detoxify the toxins quick enough as you kill it off.
That's right. Yeah. Activated charcoal and bentonite clay are often used with cholestyramine. So cholestyramine is the number one pharmaceutical if you're going to use a pharmaceutical to kill mold, right? So we use activated charcoal if you're not going to use, even if you're not going to use cholestyramine, right? It binds to the toxins and helps pull it out. My favorite activated charcoal is from the people who make biocidin, right? It's called GI Detox, and I'm telling you, it works absolutely beautifully. But cholestyramine, if you're going to use a prescription, right, it's a bile acid sequestrant, right? So what it means, all it means is it binds to the bile acids in the gut, right? Pulls them out, right, in the GI tract, and it prevents reabsorption. That's what cholestyramine is. I don't have any of that here because I don't have that prescription, but it also works as a mycotoxin binding agent.
So basically,
I mean, we use it for cholesterol, for crying out loud.
It's a magnet. Think about taking it's a magnet for all these toxins, and when you combine it, then it can make you eliminate it in the proper way.
And I didn't know this until today, that you can have it compound. Well, you can compound anything. If you have a great compounding pharmacist, you can compound any prescription you got. You can have it compounded, but it can be compounded to contain no sugar, right? Wow. So if you were interested, because good Lord, fungus. I mean, you don't want to add more sugar into, right? You take cholestyramine 2 hours before or after any supplements that you're taking, because it will also bind to those supplements and make them inactive. And for darn sure, 4 hours away from thyroid medicine.
Yeah, don't do that, because like it's the same thing like when you do certain types of charcoal, because the effect of the charcoal can like actually take the effects of your medications, bind them, chelate them, and then remove them out.
You bet it will. And it says take it 1 to 2 hours away from other medications and supplements.
Yeah. I always say it's like be safe and do that, because
activated charcoal is one of my favorite. When Jackson went off to Asia this summer, or whenever he went off to Asia, woohoo! Here they are. I sent him with activated charcoal, and he needed it because he got sick as a dog over in Bangkok when he ate a scorpion. And anyway, he needed
probably
this.
what happened.
Yeah, it's probably the scorpion. As soon as I saw it on Snapchat and it was going down his mouth, I thought, well, this is bad. About 6 hours later,
See my nose flare when I said that. But remember, in Japanese culture and in Korean culture, they'll put like charcoal in like their coffee. They'll put it in their bread. And
what?
Yes. They put like takasumi is like black and charcoal. They'll put it. I use it at the office a lot. So they'll put it in there because they'll drink it so it detoxifies them continuously.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. So because like a lot of Asian cultures, like they have good parties at night for business, and so they like literally like load up on the detoxification mechanism of the charcoal. So I'm saying this, it's like, and they know because a lot of cultures, they do all pickled and you remember like fermented stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They use that to fight off mold and such, but they also use the charcoal a lot. So,
oh, wow. Charcoal's amazing. And I think this is one of the best right here. Garlic, oil of oregano, paw de arco, olive leaf extract, caprylic acid, barberry, grapefruit seed extract are some of the natural antifungals out there. Remember, this is a fungus, right? So candicidal is one of my all-time favorites. I love candicidal. I think it works amazing.
It's so good.
But, Paul de Arco, you can do it separate if you want. Lauricidin, that's caprylic acid. These are medium chain triglycerides, right? All of this works beautifully.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautifully. Here's olive leaf extract. This one is from the Biocidin people, which is amazing. Look at this. Olive leaf, garlic, milk thistle, St. John's wort, uva ursi, which I use a ton of this with parasites. I got a girl tomorrow. She's coming in and she's got, with candida, and she's got a little bit of a bacteria and some candida stuff going on. I'm going to start her on this tomorrow because of the uva ursi. Ginseng, bladderwrack, right? Dandelion root, white willow bark. This stuff is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Because
this stuff works incredibly.
Olive leaf has so many antioxidants. It's probably like about 500 times more effective in antioxidants than most vitamin C's. And
you bet.
It has willow bark. It like would help with your pain. It's like aspirin.
Yeah, this stuff is incredible. And again, this is from the people who make Biocide. I'm telling you, this stuff right here, everybody needs to have this in their cabinet. Boom. And you just take it. But speaking of antioxidants, glutathione, right, which is made in the liver. It's the master antioxidant. It is the one antioxidant that mops up all the free radicals in your body. Glutathione is one of the things they use. High dose vitamin C, right?
Yes.
IVs or just tons of. It's a water soluble antioxidant. It's one of the cheapest. It's the greatest, and you need it for your. We're one of the only mammals, in fact, pretty much the only one who doesn't make vitamin C, but we store it in our adrenal glands. So when you're adrenally fatigued, you don't have any vitamin C. Well, you're adrenally fatigued if you have mold toxicity. So vitamin C, glutathione, garlic, oil of oregano, right? Olive leaf extract, caprylic acid, colloidal silver, all those things. There is a supplement from Pure Encapsulations called Pure. Do you use that?
I've seen it.
I don't have it. I use a ton of Pure in my office, but Pure, and people who don't want to do the prescription for cholestyramine, you can use that in place of cholestyramine in some cases, not always. Okay. Antifungal prescriptions. Nystatin's the big one, right? It mops up it takes care of the fungus going on in there, and you can also have it compounded in a nasal form. Really? Now, again, I would use this. I would use colloidal silver and Biocidin, but I do write a lot of prescriptions for nystatin with people who want to do it both ways, right? low dose naltrexone. Now I use a ton of LDN in my practice, and I take LDN every day, and I never thought of this. I found it online today. We know it's an opioid receptor agonist, right? And it has been shown to be effective in treating immunologically related disorders. So once you have mold toxicity, once it's continuing on forever and you've got some immunological issues, LDN, right?
Yes.
But what about a sauna? A sauna, air purification systems, right? And your diet.
And your diet.
But your sauna.
And
sweat.
Amber just said water.
You bet.
Water.
So a whole house water filter would be ideal.
Yes.
Right? So I just wrote this article this weekend, so this is all in my head about this. But, you know, I have a filter on my refrigerator. I have a filter on my toilet my sink back here. But I don't have a whole house filter on my bathtub, and my shower.
Yeah.
And I took a bath 2 nights ago and soaked for 30 minutes an Epsom salt bath in Franklin, Tennessee water, which is loaded with antibiotics and Xanax, and maybe that's why I slept so good that night, and fluoride and birth control pills and all that. So, excuse me, why do we filter?
It's really high, and you know, you get kind of emotional, and
your boobs grow and all those things.
I didn't say that. She said that.
Why do we filter our water, our drinking water, and not our shower where it's pouring down on us? It's a big piece of it. And
your skin
exactly right.
So much. Yes.
You know, air purification, getting an air filter is not going to kill the mold, not at all, but it will help, you know, recirculate the air there once you start to remediate the mold.
Yes.
But an air filtration system is not going to do anything until you remediate the mold. Am I right?
You got to kill it off.
You got to kill it first.
Yes.
But what about your diet?
Oh goodness. You got to like cut out starches and carbs, and you've got to cut out some sugars, because different types of foods.
Eggs and beef. Mold hates eggs and beef. Now, I don't know why, because I ran out of time, but anyway, mold hates eggs and beef. You need basically an anti-candida diet.
Eggs have a lot of cysteine in it, and cysteine will actually drive your methylation cycle.
Ah!
So your methylation cycle will actually increase your vitamin D receptors, and so when you do that, your immune system goes up. So different types of people who can't eat eggs or beef, like you will actually can increase your methylation cycle. So people actually can kill more mold when they get their methylation cycle running faster. Methylation being this, where your liver can actually filter out the mold quicker. Mm-hmm. So think about it this way: when your liver is at night and it filters out your blood. So if we have mold going through our blood at night, you have your blood pooling in your liver in the evening time. And so if you give it the nutrients it needs to actually filter better, you would kill off a lot more mold. So that's what eggs and beef can do for you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
For those of you that are watching, nuts are moldy. Okay, so here we go right here. I had written this down. Foods that are high in mycotoxins. Coffee. Coffee's number one, actually.
Coffee's pretty bad.
Moldy, dang coffee.
Love coffee, though.
Right? Chocolate. Grains, corn, oats. These are things that are high in mold, right? Nuts, wine. Not this wine, because this is Scout and Cellar wine. So I can tell you right now, this is not moldy wine right here. That's right. People who've been exposed to mold many times find that they cannot tolerate these foods anymore.
Yeah.
Now I have one of my good friends who can't tolerate wine anymore. She has breast implants.
Ooh.
And I have a feeling it's the mold from the breast implants that's causing her problems. All of a sudden, nausea, vomiting, sweating, diarrhea, fatigue, weakness, weight loss, or weight gain. She goes through, she can't drink even one sip. She's vomiting her brains out. And this is something that was brand new for her. Yeah. Man. So there again, we have, breast implants. I mean, mold toxicity, it can happen anytime, anywhere. It can be in a new home, like it was Amber's home. Amber's home was only like 18 months old, or not old at all. It can be an old home. It can be your office, right?
Yes.
It can be anywhere.
I think even with coffee, I did an experiment, and this sounds a little unusual, but I do that at the office. So I found a coffee that I really love, and it never gives me any problem. So drink it, no problem. And by accident, one evening, it was a late Thursday or Friday, didn't think about it, but I had left a little bit of coffee in the coffee pot when I left the office. So I come back on Monday and it has some mold on it. It's a really good brand.
Oh.
So I did an experiment. So that night, I knew I had a different bag, so I bought a new bag. And so the new bag I used, I left it for another night, and it didn't grow any mold for 2 nights. All that to say is I'm thinking this, that if we buy coffee from a certain, from Whole Foods or anywhere, that it could depend on the mold that's attached to the coffee at the time it was produced. Like the time it was, roasted, there could be mold in the air and got on there. Why did the same bag or the same company of mold give me mold on the first batch, but on the second batch, it didn't give me any mold? And I was like, it just depends on the humidity, the temperature, the environment.
You bet.
And so
you bet.
It's not, don't get discouraged. It can be a little bit of hit and miss, but just do coffee very quickly and grind it and drink it.
That's right. So speaking of coffee, which is interesting, Dave Asprey, who's the Bulletproof coffee guy, who I just spent 4 days with last week in California.
Is he a nice guy?
Yeah, he's cool.
Aww.
He's really neat. He's a quirky man, but he's really cool. He has a movie that he did, a documentary. It's called Moldy, Moldy. And you can watch it for free. I watched it tonight. It's called moldymovie.com/screening. Okay. If you go to that website, or if you just type in Dave Asprey Moldy movie, it's a really great documentary.
Was it really about coffee and stuff?
Yeah, well, it's not on coffee. Actually, it's on these sick people, and it's on all of that. But he's really cool. He had mold toxicity, so that's how he got into this whole thing. His story's pretty cool. His podcast is really one of the best out there.
If you taste his coffee, it is different.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
That's all we had at the JJ Virgin Mindshare was Bulletproof coffee. That's it. They didn't offer anything else. And so I was totally mold free.
I got some from Mom the other day from Sprouts, and I was like, well, we'll try this out. And I'm like, there is a difference in taste.
Yeah, there is. It's great coffee. It is
really
great coffee. So shout out to Dave Asprey. He's not watching this. But anyway, he's the one who does the blue blocker glasses also. But anyway, if you go to Inside Out Healing from Within on Facebook, I'm telling you, if you type in mold under search, mold remediation, mold toxicity, there is a million things that will pop up from you guys. This is from you all and firsthand experience, because I don't have any firsthand experience in mold other than mold growing on my coffee on occasion. But anyway, that's that. That is Mold 101. Okay.
Mold 101. Yes. Yes. We
you
talked
can
about
watch it again. This will be reserved. We talked about testing, remediation, right? The things you do supplement wise, prescription wise. What are you going to do? You're going to look in places in your house, right?
Yes.
There's tons of free information online. Survivingmold.com, right? Mold, what is it? What is hers? Patty Rose's. Healingmoldsickness.com. Healing Mold Sickness. I'm such a redneck. Natural Mold Solution. They're local. Natural Mold Solution. They're here in Nashville. Okay. So there's multiple places for you to look. All right. What's going on with you?
Oh, stop it. What's going on with you? She has everything going on. We're talking about mold. What's going on? What's going on in the office?
Well, I got a CBD workshop on Saturday. So those of you that are local, it's $10, but it is, I didn't teach it last month because all heck broke loose in my life last month. So, with my mom, CBD workshop this Saturday, 1 o'clock at the office. Somebody's going to win a free $89 bottle of CBD. Excuse me. It's a $10 class, but it is a phenomenal class. It really is. I wrote the class. It's a great PowerPoint and all. So that's going on. My 5-year anniversary is September the 12th. You guys have got the invitation on here. We have the Dotted Line Catering. I have Scout and Cellar wine. We're going to be selling now. We're going to be doing $2 donations per glass for this because I just spent $800 in wine. Oh my gosh. September 12th from 4 to 7 at Integrative Family Medicine. 5 years we've been in business.
5 years.
Hard to believe. That's what's going on at our office. What's going on with you?
Oh, wow. We've got lots of travel coming up for
Yeah.
work, but we stay in the office most every week, and we got a second location that's going to be opening up on Charlotte Avenue.
This is so exciting.
L&L Marketplace.
Do you know you're in the same building with the Savory Spice Shop?
Oh,
My friend
yes.
Holly's opening up
Holly's
her
over there,
business in there. So it's really awesome over in Sylvan Park on Charlotte. And it's a great location. Somebody else is opening up over there. I can't say, but it's all going to be so great. And I can't wait. We'll do Sunday night service from there.
You can, because we can do it because we have.
Hey, would you guys love it if we did Sunday night service from there live? And you guys come, are y'all going to be open on Sunday? Oh, I can't say that yet. I don't even know.
I'm not exactly sure because we're going to have the front side is going to be Kinzai tea, which is balanced in Japanese Kinzai. So it's going to have we'll have different types of teas and coffees, and so people can come in and relax, and we'll have different types of healing teas and such.
Why don't we do would you all like it if Dr. Motley and I did like a Q&A there one night?
It'd be fun. It'd be great.
That would be fun one night. Yes, look at that. They would love it.
Well, that's what we're doing. So
we'll do it.
In October.
We'll take it on the road to Nashville.
It'd be good. So we'll have October. It's going to happen, and I'll be treating out of there a few days a week, and so it's going to be really great because we have it's inspired by a Korean style shelving and booths and Japanese style, so it's like a mixture. And so we're gonna try and incorporate like different teas that are very healing and very calming, but also have like good teas that'll help like with different caffeination and such. So, and coffees too. So
yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be so exciting.
We'll do that.
So September the 12th. Be at the office. Next week, I'm not quite sure what we're doing. You're not going to be here next week, are you?
I won't. I've got to go to a neurology conference. And so you went to California. I got to go to a neurology conference in Atlanta, so I can't be.
I am looking to get somebody in here next week who is an expert on fecal transplant.
Okay. No, that's great. Like fecal transplant.
To cure irritable bowel disease,
yes.
ulcerative colitis. He's a naturopathic doctor. And I am so excited. I met him last week, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he can do it next weekend. It's pretty fascinating, stuff. Yeah.
Like it may sound unusual when you say fecal transplant, but when you look at the intricacies about like probiotics and what that can like how it benefits like literally the intestinal walls.
That's right.
The gut lining. It is fascinating.
Do you all know what the hardest part is of a fecal transplant?
I don't know if it's a joke.
Finding good poop. You can't find healthy poop.
I'm not walked off, guys. Right? I'm sorry.
You can't find healthy poop. I mean, so that's the hardest part. No joke. I mean, nobody's poop is clean. It's good.
Look. Find good poop.
I'm telling you, if you find somebody who's got healthy poop, you need to be banking up on that literally. Right?
Okay, I know we're about to date and we need to get serious, but how is your poop?
That's exactly right. It's important to know.
Look, I'm telling you, it's going to be like that, guys. It's like, that's how all you got to go out there to be like this. You're like,
that's why I don't have a boyfriend.
Have you had parasite testing?
Yeah, right? Forget the STD
what about mold testing?
We want to know about your mold.
You have mold toxins,
your parasite testing. Is your poop clean? All those things. Yes.
I can handle this right now.
I did have a date.
Let's
oh
my
gosh, guys, we're running over. Y'all can log off. You can log off. Okay, listen. I had a date. I went to Bricktops. This is horrible. Okay, so we're sitting there for like an hour and a half. He's telling me all of his life. He even cries. Now this is weird, but he cries, and so multiple times during that hour and a half, I said, "Yeah, I can relate to that. That sounds a lot like my childhood." He was talking about abuse. I mean, all kinds of things. And so I gave him all these options, right, to bite on that and say, well, gosh, what happened to you? You know, Danny. Okay, so for an hour and a half, he puffed up. He was talking all about himself, and he cried. And, oh, my gosh, he feels like we are such a connection. And, oh, my Lord, he's been praying for a woman like me. And blah, 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 blah. Okay, so get this, guys. So the ones who logged off are not going to hear this story. So the bill was $60-something, and he said, let's go. Let's split it. Okay. Oh, I know. So we split it. It was $63. Listen to this.
Okay.
I was already irritated because it was a Sunday night, and I protect my Sunday nights. But he gave me $30 on a $63 bill. So guess who pays the tip? and plus the extra $3 or $1.50 if we're splitting it, right? So I was like $13 over already. Okay. So listen, so I was a little irritated. So anyway, we go outside and we're standing at my car and he says, I just feel like a little girl around you. I just feel like a little girl. I just cried and all these things. And I'm just standing there, right? I got my arms crossed. I'm leaning up against my car. And I said, yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, I just kind of talked to him. He goes, you're just kind of like an alpha male. Woo. Okay, so I take that as a compliment personally. And I said, well, maybe, I don't know. I just know what I want. I know what I like, and I'm not going to settle anymore. I've settled before. I'm not doing that again. He said, well, I think I know why. I figured out why you're single. Whoa. Well, that was the end of that. And I stood there and I puffed up like a big turkey. And I said, I opened the door to my car and I said, you know what? If you'd shut your mouth long enough for 90 minutes, you would know a little bit about me, but you had every opportunity for 90 minutes to learn about me. And you chose to tell me all about yourself. So you have no damn clue why I'm single.
No.
And I said, you have no idea. And I opened the door. I got in. He goes, Dani. And I shut the door and I drove home. I was home in 5 minutes because it was brick tops. My phone rang and rang and rang that night. And it hasn't rang again. I didn't answer it. But yeah. So that was my date.
I'm not even like the
what is wrong with people? No. Not only did I have to pay $13 more, not only did I have to pay $13 more, even though, you know, we split it, he probably should have bought it.
No.
Okay. He tells me, I know why you're single. No.
Okay. So my mom's from super like strict Korean culture. My dad's like old Southern gentleman. But it's like, if you go out with a lady, you're expected to pay. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be chauvinistic or anything like it's a male dominant. It's not that. But if I went out with you, my friends, and see, I'm in Korean culture, this is how it happens. If you're the oldest male.
Well, I need to go find a Korean.
If you're the oldest male.
Who's taller than me. You're the unusual Korean.
I'm very tall.
Because you're tall.
But if you're the oldest male, or if you're the male that's the brother, they call it the hyung, like the oldest brother in the culture. And there is a group of like ladies, or if you're on a date, or even if it's not a date, you're expected to pay.
Really?
If you're with your mom and your
I'm dating the wrong people.
You have to pay. It is not even a question. So there's no question. Like if you had even guy friends and you're the oldest and they're young, it's like there's a general rule. Like there's sometimes when they go, I want to take this, but as a general rule, you're like, no, we got to pay this. So if I ever have a girl that's like that you go on a date with, you're like, it's almost bad juju if they want to try to split it. I'm like, no, it's not culture. I can't do that. Isn't that crazy? But I'm saying on a note, but if a guy's gonna like split 30 with you,
I know he didn't know who
Come
I
on,
think
guys.
I am clearly.
Come
but
on.
I mean, I was good. I listened and all that. He did not shut up the whole time. Blah blah blah. And he's telling anyway. I gave him lots of opportunities. Gone, done.
No.
Yes, Brooke, stay single. I know, but sometimes it's good to have. You know,
You just gotta find that guy.
So the best deal I ever had was with my ex, actually the recent ex. It was a blind date. And, you know, we dated for 2 years and we had a great relationship. So I think it's going to take somebody saying, you know, I got a friend for you to go out with. And my friend Kelly set us up. It was fabulous. It was great. It was a fabulous 2 years, but then, you know, that ended. And, but I just don't know about these dating sites.
I don't know either.
But I've got a lot of friends who've done it. And I mean, I've tried it and I just slammed the door on the guy and said, you know, out of here. So here's the thing. Yeah. Slow, you know, fast. I mean, I am just slow to decide who I want to go out with, but I am quick to cut it off quickly. I am not, I mean, that was it. That was a huge red flag. And I'm telling you people, if you have red flags like that in your friendships, your work, your marriage, dating, be done with it. Be done. I have ignored red flags in the past.
I've had friends and I've had individuals that one of my closest friends met his great fiance doing online such.
I know. Everybody tells me my friend.
They're getting married, and then you go, and then we have suggestions from friends, and we go there, and we're like, what just happened here? Like, you know, but
I know.
But I'll say this, isn't it a general rule? Like we're talking about this, it's like as a guy, I'm not saying we have to be a knight in shining armor, because that is where the faults, like we don't try to like prove ourselves, but a guy's like literally like, it's like what's expected to like pay for something. It's not like trying to prove like how strong I am, how big I am. I'm like, no, it's like, that's my culture. So the hardest part for me is that my culture dictates it. Like if my mom, don't ever tell this if you ever talk to her, if my mom knew I didn't pay for a girl or something like that, she would just, I would be like, no. She'd be in trouble. Oh man, complete trouble. My dad would be like, did you open the door for her? Like, it had to, like, that's what they told me. And it may not be
meet someone at church. Yeah.
I don't know.
But I go to Brentwood Baptist. I've been there for a while, and it's a lot of older people, so I don't know. And Teresa, yes, go on dates who have references. Well, I need a date with a reference. So anyway, if anybody has any idea out there, or you have any single men friends, I'll go on a date. Why not?
I guarantee if you went on there, like you would have even more. Like
I'm a fun
that
date.
would be a TV show. If a YouTube show, if we put Dani on there, like, and we did that, like, how many, like, that would be like literally, we're putting you on the different ones and have somebody like just literally like do different configurations.
Oh, for crying out loud! I am a fun date though, but I think I'm intimidating. I think I'm intimidating. Like he said, I mean, I wasn't really intimidating him. I listened the whole time. I kept my mouth shut for an hour and a half.
No. The rule is, if he talks about himself, a guy has to always ask you what your work's about, what you're doing.
He didn't ask me nothing about what I do. He was all interested in.
That is the rule. Like, it's not like you're being fake. The guy has to be interested in what you do.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are way over.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
It's late. All right, appreciate it. So if you have any single friends, it's fine. You can set me up. I'll go out. I'll take references, Teresa, from any of you all. But
make sure they're like really debonair, like really, really rich, drives like some kind of.
They don't have to be rich. They just have to be self.
Let me do this. Okay. Aston Martin, maybe like a nice Porsche Carrera.
I drive a Toyota, people. I live in a 1,200 square foot house.
It's a cruiser, like it's really great. So stop doing that. Anyway, so she's gonna ask somebody that's really rich, somebody that drives an Aston Martin, maybe a Porsche, has a witty smile and just a big wit.
They need to be funny. They need to be funny, and they need to be self-sufficient.
And can handle the fact that somebody can tell them straight to their face exactly what she thinks at the time of day and the temperature, the environment she's in. And that she can just tell them exactly what she thinks. Anyway, that's what we want.
Okay, there we go. All right, I'm so glad you all figured it all out. I would be the best proponent for her.
I'm telling you.
Every patient who comes in is like, Dani, there's somebody. I know there's somebody out there. Yeah, I'm sure there is. All right, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. I'm hoping next week we're talking about fecal transplant. This is why I don't have a job. A job. I've got a great job. This is why I don't have a boyfriend.
What? Don't say that.
Transplant.
There's going to be a guy that's going to be like this. He's like, Dani, I want to know everything about your fecal matter.
All right. Good night. We love you. Bye.
Wait. And then the end. Wait. There's a Costco wholesale right there. Hold on. And then we're going to end the video. Wait.
We love you. Okay, here we go. End.
Wait.
Whoa!
Then we got to end this.
All right, guys. We love you. Appreciate you. Have a good night.